exercise more. It's just not true.
Well,
recessions
right
cause
there.
job loss, and every job loss is
It's fun to listen to these guys
enormously
talk about. They're
unfortunate.
richer than most of
Becoming
the bosses
unemployed
I
has
ever
enormously
had.
disrupted people's
Most of the
lives. It
people I've
causes
done,
enormous pain
actually,
for families,
comparatively to
for
what it
households,
takes
for
for those
communities.
people to hold
It's
up
terrible.
the board factory,
For
right? There's a bunch
Americans,
of laborers,
understanding
and
how
it
recession
sucks.
works
Somebody
can
racks the
best
tiller,
help them
somebody
prepare
comes
for
in.
whatever may lie
Let's
ahead.
say all the labor numbers come
Understanding,
2020 or
the
whatever ripped
dynamics
up. I'm
of
gonna hire as many
recession
people as I
allow you
can and
to
pay them
potentially,
the number. It
be,
works. And the flat
more
line on some other
opportunistic
indexes.
and
Okay, it's
protective of
starting to
your
add
wealth,
up now. I mean, it could be this one.
should
It
these
wasn't.
downturns
It was
happen,
this. Sherpa's
knowing
goat
that
path
it may
out
be
there
coming,
and taking
can
down
help you think
Leonidas.
through decisions
Seeing
about,
Leonidas piece
do you want to buy
shit,
a house
anyway.
or do you want to rent? Do you want to take a new job?
And it hurts.
The fear of recession is mounting in the United States.
Where do you peg the probability of a recession?
Right now, it's, let's say by year end, I'd say about 50-50. It's pretty close.
In June
What's the number about the
2022,
mill?
the World Bank
The
slashed
sawmill,
its global
calling
growth
them.
forecast
Still,
to
you know,
2.9%,
what is around
warning
here?
that several
You
countries
could
could fall
go
into recession.
$20 for a
I think
state
there's a lot
worker.
of
You got
fears
$18 for the
around
hardline
how it's gonna play
manufacturing.
out,
If
how
there's
long
some
it's gonna
managers
be, and how
working in
deep.
inventory and doing
And it
that
hurts a
bonesy
lot of
stuff
people.
where it's
I
a
think the
grind.
pain
It's like you may
tends
not
to
be
be kinda
physically sweating
concentrated
bullets, but the
in the
pressure under it
victims of the
to
recession.
make sure that
But
the
none of us
inventory
can be
line,
completely
truckers,
sure
doing
that
all
we
those
or
stuff
our
because you're
families
not
are not gonna
doing
be
it. It
among
takes
those
experience to get out there.
Recessions also
Even if it's just
often
sitting in there
impact
and
the
kind of step
valuation
gauging,
of other asset
adding
classes,
cycles
like
into
the
it
value
and
of your
how they
house
weirdly
or
rotate
the value
because
of your
you
car.
kind of ought
And
to want
last
to
but not
take your
least,
time with that one.
it's that really most important one, that increase in the
And again,
unemployment rate.
what
where
I'm doing
people
out here
really
right now at
fear
the moment
that they could
is
lose a job
weird. Like
and thus
you need to catch a
lose
Wendy's
income.
or a McDonald's, or
I
excuse
do
me,
believe
Subway
recessions
worker
are really
making
inevitable.
$15 an hour.
I believe that the economic cycle
Shift
exists.
work. It's an
But
end of the
some
day. It's a
believe
grind.
that this
Actually,
isn't all
you're
bad
making
news.
it's a
Some
mess over in
investors, they
there.
look at
And it's
recessions as
compounded
opportunity.
in the station
You
of
know,
what it's
this is an
doing.
opportunity to
$12
buy
next
this
door for the same
asset
thing, but
that's
you're
now on sale.
not doing that,
And
but you're
now it's
stacking
at fair value.
coolers, you're running
I think it's really
customers, you can
important
always
to
get
just understand the
fired
mechanics,
or
because I think when you do,
get the thing for
knowledge is
selling
power,
somebody cigarettes of being
information is
totally
power,
loaded
then
and
you can start to
them out of the
be
middle
able
of
to seize the
nowhere
moment.
just
So
sending in
why
some
do
secret
recessions
shopper.
happen? And are they an inevitable part
12.
of the American economy?
Maybe that. And then the management's a fucking shit show as
The
in
National
terms
Bureau
of
of
their
Economic
board over
Research
there.
defines a recession as a
Rabidos.
significant
What it is.
decline in
I
economic
mean, it's going to play
activity
to the
that's
gas
spread across
prices.
the economy
Tucker had
and
one
lasts
out
more than
there
a few
about
months.
numbers and why are
It's
you
been
going to shut down
synonymous
a
with major
gas
economic
station in
pain
a
felt by
retirement home
businesses and
facility?
consumers alike.
Just can't
The
pay the bills that
Congressional
they
Research
couldn't
Service
pay to
cites
do it.
three
And that's a
main
fair one.
causes
It's like,
of
well,
a
they're on
recession.
subsidies and
The
taking
first
care
is
of
an
life, but
overheated economy.
the gas prices
When
keep the
economists
company
talk
open.
about the economy
Of
overheating,
them keeping me supplied
mean
and
that
alive isn't
demand
just
in the
depending on them.
economy
If you just
is
did the gas for them
growing
at the
faster
retirement
than the
home and
ability of the
factored
supply
it into the
side
budget
of
of
the
the leisure,
economy to satisfy
well then
it.
there you would have it.
And that can
that's
be
what the
because we just
calculation
can't
is, and you'd
produce
cost
enough
it off.
stuff,
But the
or it
pump
can
is
be
where the
because
pump
we don't
is.
have
They
enough
just don't
workers.
deliver it to your
A
house
hot
and
spike in inflation,
they don't want to put a
alongside
lock
a
on it or
dip
put
in the
security
unemployment
around
rate,
it, or it's a
could
fire
signal that
risk,
the
or
economy
there
may
are
be
some
overheating.
real things before I let some
Every
slippery
recession but
motherfucker
one
try to
since World
slide
War
something
II
in there
has
like
seen an
federal
inflation hike
regulations that have
right
nothing to
before
do
the
with the
start of the
sensible fucking
downturn.
model at all.
And nearly every recession since World War II saw the unemployment rate fall to
So
5%
you hire in a
or
bunch of
lower.
temps, big dogs
When
leave out
unemployment
because
gets
they
really
get screwed
low,
over
it
on a
means that
bunch of
there's
stuff and
not
they'd
really
have to
very
leave,
many available
or they're not
workers for
fulfilled in
firms to
some way
hire.
because you didn't
And
get the
if firms
ratio,
can't
the
find
no-knock
workers to
fuel
hire,
in there
then they
right.
have to start bidding
And
up
then
wages.
when you lose
As
those other
they
ones and the
start paying
training
people
gap
more,
for how long
people
they
have
had
more
been there
income with
isn't
which to buy
enough,
goods and services.
they also leave because
More
they don't
income
want to
buying
get
goods and
put
services
up with the
tends to
shit
push
for
up
the
the prices
size
of
of
goods
a
and
Milgram
services.
experience.
So you
The
get a
boss
positive
decided to put in
feedback
on it.
between wages moving
Now
higher,
turn
pushes
your
prices
pelvis
higher,
into a black
pushes
hole,
wages
son.
higher, pushes prices higher. And if the Federal Reserve didn't intervene by inducing a recession and raising interest rates, that spiral would get stronger
It's a
and
pretty
stronger
obvious
and
mechanic.
stronger,
What do you do when
and
it starts
eventually you'd
doing
have
that? Early
inflation
signs on
running
those
away
things,
and
and a
really
lot of
getting out
people did a
control.
lot of the wrong decision-making processes
Asset bubbles
to
can be
make
another
it
direct
worse,
cause.
and they still do, and
The
they may
recession
not
of
fully
2001
understand that.
was
It's not just
primarily
about
caused by the dot-com
that
bubble
doing
burst
that.
of
It's more
2000.
relative to the
While
position
the
you're
Great
in.
Recession
And say I'm
occurred
on the market
just
or
after
off the
the
market.
crash
It's
of
my
the housing
first
market.
investment.
Asset
You're a
prices,
long-term
whether they're
invested
stock
into the
prices or
system.
house
Maybe you're
prices
more committed to
go
buy
up
the
a
dip.
lot,
Maybe I wait
and
for
they
one that's a better
exceed
dip
the
inside here.
fundamentals,
Both are kind of
and then
shitty
suddenly
options
they
and not
come
doing a
down
damn
abruptly.
thing worth of a
That
fixed
has a
market
big negative
income.
effect on the
Given
economy, particularly if
FX,
people have
7 days a
borrowed
week,
to buy those
5 of
assets.
those are
When
inside
that
of a 40
happens,
number,
people
works to
find out
gravity.
that they're not
The
as
more
wealthy
you
as they
do
thought
that
they were.
imaginary
And when you
fate,
find
the
out that
better
you're
your
not as wealthy
results
as you
are
thought
while
that
you're
you are,
tracking that rate.
cut back
But
on
you
your
got to keep it
spending.
to that rate.
And as you
Quit
cut back
fucking
on your
changing
spending,
around.
that decreases
It's already
demand
standard
for the
models to
economy,
shift work
and it
across the
slows
board
the
with the
economy
human
down,
body
and
and those
enough of it
masons
can cause
buried
a
under
recession.
certain stone
And other
equipment
times,
that's out
recessions
there.
are caused by unpredictable events that lead to severe disruptions.
Guess what? We
Economists
need
call these
restaurant
events
owners.
black
We
swans.
need
These are the things that
crew workers. I need somebody.
unfortunately,
that can be a Mason robot but understand the fucking hertz and the electric line. They're a different animal comparatively to I need a civil engineer all the groundwork, piping congruency, not just necessarily electrical capacity.
Impact, and that's what drove us into a very quick recession throughout COVID
Usually
and
does,
others
doesn't
that
it?
we've seen through the course of time.
The U.S. has experienced at least 30 recessions throughout history.
Well, it's
dating back
inevitable.
as
It's
early
one
as
thing to say, hey, I'm a
1857.
country hillbilly. I saw this
They may have
coming. It
become
wasn't
an
necessarily
inevitable
because I
part of the
didn't believe
economic
in the
cycle
market being
and
able to pull
fluctuate
it out,
between
the
periods of
peacock team
expansion
and doing their
and
thing.
contraction.
It's more
History
about if
teaches
you
us
listen
that
to the phalanx of
recessions
every
are
squeaky
inevitable.
that you ever
I
get
do
first
think
day.
recessions
First day,
are
crew,
part of our
management, ground
business
systems,
cycle.
their mass gap. Is this
Do
a
I
quantum
believe
physics
that they're
problem, or are you just
completely
kind of
inevitable
just showing things
in a
around
capitalistic
about
society?
things that don't really add up to the
Hardly.
true value of
There's
stock?
so many
Because there's alternate
events
routes on
and
what beneficially
external
is the best
factors
move
that
to get them on the
contribute
floor and grinding,
to
or in here
recessions
driving a
such
boat,
as
sitting in
supply
here waiting,
shocks,
doing a thing,
demand
whatever.
shocks, geopolitical
You
issues
definitely
that
see
come
that they didn't
about.
have the play fundamentals,
Part of
even if it
human
was
psychology
Trumpy
to
Bear
get too
before that.
excited
They're
about
both done.
things, and when you get
And
too
we
excited
can
about things,
300
you
million people
ultimately
on
have
here.
massive
Let's
bubbles,
assume
and
that
those ultimately lead to recessions.
100 million of
It's
those are
also part of
adults,
human
right?
nature
Anywhere
that
from
people
50
will
million
continue
of them are in
expanding their
the.
firms
There's
and
50 million
businesses
people.
as long
One
as
of
the
them's got to
economy
have a
is good.
PhD
And as
in
long
there.
as that keeps
Let's see
happening,
that
you'll
PhD.
eventually
I'm not just saying
overheat,
whittling
which
fucking
eventually will lead
laurels.
to
Put
a
out a board
recession.
presentation on
Nonetheless,
multi-domain for
certain measures can be
150.
taken to make recessions
That every
less
time
likely.
you don't see
As the
that, some
nation's
daily
authority
flush,
on
whether to
monetary
hear, he could have it.
policies,
Why
the
hold
Federal
it?
Reserve plays a critical role
Because you
in
want to be an
managing
officer
recessions.
that's over
With
it.
the
Let's
right
talk
monetary
about the
policies
training
that
process,
can
Private
prevent a recession,
Santiago, please. And if he
it's just
doesn't
very difficult to do
score
so.
A
There are
plus
two things that
on
the
his
Fed can do
proficiency
to
exam,
avoid a
I'm going to
recession.
kill you.
One is
Right?
to steer the
Because at some
economy
point in
so
time
we
in
don't
here,
get
that
so
bullshit
much
about the
inflation
lieutenant's
that they have to
retirement
slam
for
on
he
the
put his
brakes.
brass on the
The
table
second
and walked
is to
away
pay
about the
close
bullshit
attention to
inside
the
here,
financial
that
system
insider stuff, and
so
you
we
tell
don't
me
have
that
a
doesn't happen.
repeat
We could talk
like
about some
2007,
wolf and
8,
rabbit
9
prints over
recession,
Forrest
which was
Jackson and
caused
some
by
guy
too
clubbing
much
some woman in the
lending,
head with a
too
hammer
many
on base.
mortgages, and too much
We're not going to even give it to the
careless
kid that just jumped the
securitization
fence
of
with a
markets.
empty
The Fed has often attempted to avoid a recession
service weapon
by
inside of
engineering
there
what's
and
known
hop
as
and
a
bust get the
soft
fuck out
landing.
of Dodge.
This is where precise interest rate
that is
hikes
a
are
little
used to
different, that
curb
one there.
inflation without pushing the economy into recession. But a successful soft landing is
Why?
extremely rare, arguably achieved just once in 1994.
So what they're trying to
army
do
on
is
Earth.
raise rates
And that
enough
militia.
so
Sharps are just
demand
part of it,
slows,
and therefore
so
he
that
gets
it's
peace
really
on
a
it, just
tough
like an
needle that they're
American
trying
or
to thread
soldier in general.
to get
It's on
our
the
economy
battlefield.
in equilibrium.
Russian find
Now the
out that
question is there
Russian
an
soldier
amount
finds out
that
this
of
one
pressure
has
that they can
military
apply onto the
service and
brakes
this one doesn't?
that's
What's the
enough
option?
to control inflation,
Well, two
but
options.
not
Hit the
enough
big
to
one
crash
first
the
because that's
economy.
what it is, or
And the
drop
truth
rank
is that
because
that's
they're going to
really,
connect
really
up inside the
difficult to get
system,
into
which
that
is risk.
really,
Gotta
really
fucking roll
narrow
stamina.
zone.
It's out
It's
there.
the
All the
difference between
probabilities
trying to
on
land
all
an
D20
airplane
about how it
in
rolls
a
when you
really
land this
wide,
plane, right? Be a
spacious,
dragon
open
your first
field
day.
versus
Somebody in
trying to
your
land
ear
an
telling you
airplane
how to do the
on
buttons
a
on
very, very
autopilot,
narrow
right?
piece of
Easy
land
thing, it'll basically
with
land
rocks
itself
and water
just
on
for the
either side.
windage. The robot takes over
Some
and you
experts
do it.
argue
And
that
as long
policies
as
have
I
a
said
clear
it, you must
limitation
all
on
get
what
the
they can
job done.
achieve against an
As far
impending
as what's
downturn.
inside of here, and
Policy tends to operate
this cable
with
whip problem.
long lags. I also think that increasingly we live in a global
That line
economy
in the sand,
where the
just right there.
cross-currents
1
that are
quadrillion grains out
impacting,
there
you know,
about
the
the
economic dynamics
semi-imperial
are
mass
very
numbers,
complex.
about the shorts on the
These are
longs, and
dynamics
whether
that
up
the
is
Fed
up and down
doesn't
is
have
down, given
tools
relative
to address.
orientation
And
against
so,
33,
you know, to a certain
66, and
extent,
99 as far as the
we do
vote's
think that
concerned. 51
policymakers, you know,
is
have
what we
certainly
got.
developed more
Not going to
tools
say, well, we needed to
to
be
fight
66, 33,
recession,
99,
but we don't
everybody.
think that
It's
you
going to
can,
do what it's going to do.
you know,
Please
rely
don't
on
alter that. It
policymakers
means
to prevent
things. And that
recession.
number was a result of
There are several
lots
early
of
signs
things.
of recession that investors look out for.
One tool that's
Anytime
commonly
they don't
cited
do
is
it.
the yield curve, right? The yield curve inversion. When the yield curve tends to invert, it means that